Friday Pilates. I am going to start with my circle TheraBand on. So if any of you would like to add that, go ahead. It is not required. Don't feel like you need to do it unless you want to. Okay, it's just going to add to our proprioceptive awareness, but it's also going to add to the work in our glutes and our legs. So just be there if it feels good. And let's just start with our feet outer hip distance wide. If you have the TheraBand on, you'll feel the kind of pressure of it, and let your knees soften. And let's bring our hands to the hips and circle them. So we'll start with a little gyrokinetic warm up for Jory, who we can't see. Circle the hips one way and then circle them the other. And then take them around the other way again. And feel how as your hips move, your knees move. Feel how the weight changes on your feet. So all these interconnections. Take your circles the other way. Really feel how the pressure changes on the feet. And we know that the hips and the feet really govern the knees. So just kind of notice the relationships. And then come into your figure eights. And feel yourself stretch into the side hip. And as you do, how does the TheraBand put pressure into the legs? Just notice. Now, as your hips move, how do the shoulders move? As the shoulders and hips move, how does the head move? So in just these simple motions, we build consciousness in the body. And then come back to stillness with the hips and let your arms swing. And just let them go. See if you can release the finger bones, release the elbows, release the humerus bone from the shoulder girdle. And just let the energy begin to move. And then let's bring the arms up in small circles out to the sides. Let your knees bounce as you circle. Circle, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Reverse direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Reverse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Reverse. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Palms out, fingers spread. One palm in front of the other. Pulse, pulse, and open wide. Lift the heart. Pulse, pulse, open wide. Lift the heart. Pulse, pulse, and open. Pulse, pulse, and open. Pulse, pulse, and open. Pulse, pulse, and open. Pause here. Turn your head to look out over the left fingers. Stretch the fingers open and take a deep inhale. Exhale to the other side. Take an inhale. Exhale to center. Pulse, pulse, and open. Pulse, pulse, and open. Pulse, pulse, and open. Pulse, pulse, and open. Pause. Inhale, look right. Stretch the fingers. Exhale across left. Take an inhale and release your arms. And roll one shoulder and then the other. Really feel into stretching the myofascia cross body. So reach the shoulder away from the opposite foot. Reach the shoulder away from the opposite foot and let it become kind of gyrokinetic movement. The shoulder leading the sway back and forth. Notice how you move across the feet as you sway to stretch the shoulder. Notice if you feel any energy in your hands after the circles in the arm movement. And then come back to center and roll the shoulders together, up, down, and back, up, down, and back, up, down, and back. And float the arms up and left palm up, right thumb under, and switch. Now really feel into your rotator cuff and take the hands farther forward. Continue this internal and external rotation forward. Just feel into the arms and take it wide again. We can be too wide in this motion and have the humerus bone pop forward. We don't want that. So find the place where you can still rest the humerus bone slightly back as you take your arms out to the sides. And then release the arms, and let's pick up our hand weights. Pick up your hand weights. If you don't want hand weights, don't use them. Just come up with your arms. And inhale, open the arms. And exhale, push. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Press. Exhale. Move. Keep breathing and moving. Stay with one routine. Whatever your breath is, fluid, stretching. Maybe change it up if it feels like you want to try it in a different pattern. Tailbone grounding. As you stretch the arms, stretch the legs. Root the feet. Release. Close. Open and stretch. Release. Close. Open and stretch. Release. Pause. Turn your palms to face in and take one toe forward and step down. The other toe forward and step down. Bicep curl, toe lifts. Open the arms, step down. Bicep curl, toe lifts. Open the arms, step down. Perhaps the knee lifts. Keep the heart up and down. The knee does not have to lift high if you're wearing the TheraBand. You're becoming proprioceptively aware of the legs moving while you keep the spine long, while you ground into one foot. Can you hug that standing leg glute gently into the bone, hugging towards stability? Can you find a gentle lift of the pelvic floor? Keeping the heart lifted, the gaze perhaps at the mountaintop, but that doesn't mean we jut the chin forward. And enough. Release your arms and roll your shoulders. Step to one edge of your space, hands up, and open your arms wide. Right here, feel the arches of the feet lift and close. And inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. As you inhale, feel the arches lift. Lift the arches, close. Lift the arches, close. So we really feel into how the pressure of the TheraBand can help us lift the arches of the feet. We're strengthening the feet here. Notice if you've thrown your head forward in space. What does it feel like to draw the eyes back, to let the head rest back as you open and close, open and close, inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale. Step together, open and close, and then open and pause, and stretch the arms up, keep the knees bent, stretch the legs long, root the feet, root heel, big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, lift the toes, feel for the three arches, and release the arms, and roll the arms. Step the feet closer together, heels under sit bones, and take your right toes out. And inhale, snow angel, the arms lifting through the top of the head, and exhale, release. Really ground into your standing foot, lift the arches. We strengthen them for a reason. And release. And we inhale and exhale and lift and lower. Breathing into the strength of the moving body. Reach and release. Open and release. One more. Open and pause. And release. Take the left foot out. Stand strong from the right foot. Feel into your heel, big toe ball mound, pinky toe ball mound, and your arches. Use those arches as you open and release. Remember, the toe does not have to come up, but it can. Feel into stretching the TheraBand as a way of knowing where you are in space. Inhale and exhale. Long spine. Gentle lift to the arches of the feet, to the pelvic floor, to the base of the skull. Ha! Isn't it fun to make those connections? Oh, one more time, and pause, and release, and roll your shoulders, and stand in mountain pose. Now right here, whether you have hand weights or not, I want you to feel into your spine. Notice, The arm bones are a little forward. You're going to feel those drag lines even more with the hand weights, drawing you forward. Let's everybody over accentuate what that looks like. Let yourself hunch over. Ooh, that's not so good. Come back up. Now draw the head of the arm bones back, puff the chest out. Feel the head of the arm bones back like you're cracking a walnut with the shoulder blades. Also not healthy alignment. Bring the shoulders, excuse me, the head of the arm bones to neutral. Broad across the shoulder girdle in front. Let the hyoid bone lift up into the neck crease. The prongs of the horseshoe bone lifted up towards the base of the skull. Your gaze is at the horizon. Your shoulders centered. And turn your palms forward and lift to a toe and release. Now the shoulder blades are on the back body. We're aware of the arm bones hanging center. This may be a little stretch in the front chest. We bicep curl and perhaps lift the knee. Can you keep the heart lifted and feel the standing leg hamstring pull back? As that does, can you ground into the standing heel? Feel the strength of that connection with earth. The four corners grounding, the arches lifting in support of a lifting pelvic floor and a lengthening spine. Now everybody, jut your chin forward. Feel what that does to the neck and the back. Now let your head rest way back. It may turn on the front abdominal core. Now try to come to neutral spine with the head resting on the top of the spine like a basketball on a fingertip. And one more. And step down and roll your shoulders. And put the hand weights down and let's pick up the TheraBand. So I've been doing this TheraBand work for myofascial sling awareness with a lot of my private clients, and it's really interesting to watch people turn on and how this changes our awareness of posture. So as you bring your right hand to your hip and your left arm forward long, really think about where your right head of your arm bone is in space. Draw it slightly back. Find the right shoulder blade on your back. Check in that you're not locking your knees because you want your hips connected to your feet. Lift the pelvic floor and lengthen the spine. Hyoid bone rests in and up and open the left arm out at a diagonal. Now feel into both shoulder blades and broaden them. Reach down from each shoulder blade to the same side buttock. From the buttock into the heel. Make sure you're not hyperextending your knees or throwing your pelvis forward or back. Line your femur bone up over your tibia bone in the shin. Let your pelvis sit upright over the femur bone and your shoulders rest broad and back. Hyoid bone resting in, eyes resting back in their sockets. And release forward and open back out. Right shoulder really strong as the left arm moves. Whole body stable as the left arm moves forward and back. Feel into the strength of your back body. Hyoid bone resting in and pause open again. Broad across the shoulders. Lift from buttocks to shoulder blades. Let the base of the skull rest back. And release the arm forward and switch sides. So we're waking up our myofascial slings before we come to the floor. Bring the left shoulder blade onto your back. Connect both shoulders down into feet. Lift your low rib ring away from your pelvis. Lift your pelvic floor, navel in and up, open the right shoulder. So much to connect with. Now everybody try throwing your knees back into hyperextension. And notice how that throws your posture. Come back to neutral knees. Everybody throw your pelvis forward. Notice what that does to your posture. Come back to neutral pelvis. Lift your pelvic floor. Lengthen through the top of the head, shoulder blades on your back body, and release the right arm forward and open it again. Can this one moving limb be stabilized by the rest of the body? We're not locking our knees. The joints are open doors to fluid energy. And open and hold. Broad across the shoulder girdle. Hyoid bone resting back. And release. And roll the shoulders. Bring the TheraBand behind your low back ribs. And take the arms and hands forward. Really breathe into the low back rib ring. Now this is something we haven't done that I want to try. So you're leaning back into your TheraBand with those low back ribs, and you're going to take the right arm forward and bring the right low ribs towards the left hip pointers and come back. You're still leaning into the TheraBand with your low back ribs. Take the left ribs towards the right hip pointers and straight and twist and neutral and twist and neutral. Now pause as you take the right rib towards the left hip pointer. Try to find a connection between the right rib and the left hip pointer and open. Now take the left rib towards the right hip pointer, pause. Find that connection and back. Take right towards left, pause. And come back. Left towards right and pause. And come back. Now a little faster. We twist and back. Reach the arm a little bit. Come back. Find the twist, but also have the navel energy hugging in towards the spine and support the front of the spine. This isn't an overactive gripping, but it's an awareness of the moving spine, supporting the spine so that we don't over twist, so that we work the abdominal core as we become aware of the obliques. And come back to center. Let your hyoid bone and eyes rest back and take the arms forward, palms up, and draw the elbows into the side. Inhale into your low back rib ring. Now, can you lift the low back rib ring away from the pelvis as you root into the heels? Inhaling and exhaling. Keep lifting the low rib ring and exhaling. Keep the lumbar spine in neutral so you're not flattening it in your effort. Hyoid bone rests in. We don't jut the chin forward in effort. We stand back on our heels. Come to one toe as the arms open and pause. Really press back into the hamstring of the standing leg without hyperextending the knee and lift the other toe. Some of you may be able to straighten the leg. Stay aware of your rib ring, aware of the base of the skull, lengthening away from the rib ring. And release. Release the elbows. Mini shoulder rolls. And then take the arms forward. Breathe into the low back rib ring. Come to the other toe. Feel into the four corners of the foot and the arches. Lift the knee. Heart stays lifted. Lift the low rib ring. Lift the base of the skull and perhaps straighten the leg. And step down. Release the TheraBand to the front body and inhale. Lift the TheraBand overhead and stretch it wide and release it up and stretch it wide. This exercise right here begins to activate muscles lower down in the back body and feel your upper traps. They shouldn't be able to turn on right here. We overuse them so much. Feel for activation around the outer edge of your shoulder blade. This is what we're wanting to awaken. And you can come to one toe and release, and the other toe and release, and lift one knee and release, and the other. Keep moving. Can you be aware of where the whole body is in space? It's fun, isn't it? Tailbone towards earth. Your bandha's turned on. And step down. Bring the TheraBand forward. And inhale, lift it up. Come to the best opening for you and pause. Breathe into the shoulders and chest. Those of you who are comfortable going down behind, you can. Inhale back up and over. Fluid breath. As your arms move, inhaling up and exhaling down, can you stay conscious of the soles of your feet hugging the floor? Can you draw energy up from the feet through the joint of the knee? Up from the knee, activate the muscles of the upper leg up towards the hips. Gently hug the glutes in and lift the pelvic floor. Lengthen the spine. Let the head sit like a basketball on a fingertip. Pause wherever the stretch is best for you in the shoulders and chest. Take a few three-dimensional breaths. And then release. Release the TheraBand and come to the floor. Long TheraBand near you. Ball blocker OOV nearby. And come to lying down and construct a rest. Right here. Really focus on a natural curve to your cervical spine of your neck. Gaze perpendicular to the floor. Shoulders relaxing back, head of the arm bones heavy. Nod tailbone towards earth and tailbone towards sky. Feel the TheraBand, those of you that have it, around your thighs. Noticing where they are in space. This is an area of the body we don't always pay attention to. Fluid motion, fluid breath. Feel how the pelvis interrelates to the lumbar spine. The lumbar spine to the thoracic spine of the rib cage. To the shoulder girdle. To the head and neck. Now come to your neutral spine. And take a three-dimensional inhale and exhale through pursed lips. Lift the pelvic floor into the body, navel back towards the spine and up along the spine, all the way in past the hyoid bone. Soften and take a three-dimensional inhale as you're ready. Exhale through pursed lips, lifting the pelvic floor into the body without changing the curve of the spine. Drawing energy up the front column of the spine, all the way up in through the neck to the skull. Keep this action going, softening for your three-dimensional inhale. Exhaling, lifting the pelvic floor, drawing energy along the spine. You may feel it along the sides of the spine, in the back of the spine, but you're not changing the natural curves of the spine. You're just activating the muscles along the length of the spine. Softening for a deep inhale, not demanding too big a breath. Exhaling through pursed lips, lifting the pelvic floor, navel energy in towards the spine, up along the spine, all the way into the skull. And then reach for your ball blocker OOV, press your pillow out, and lift to put the ball blocker OOV under your sacrum. Again, rest the body with your neutral curve to the spine. Heels aligned with sit bones. Feel your feet on the floor. Lift your toes, lift your arches. Relax your toes. Feel your arches. Float one foot into tabletop. Float it back down, landing light as a feather. Float the other leg to tabletop. Float it down, landing light as a feather. Feel the TheraBand around both legs if you're using it. If not, imagine it. Pulling on one hamstring and on the quad outer leg, IT band side of the lifting leg. Now bring your thumbs to your lowest ribs and your fingers to your hip pointers. These are the sides of your Pilates square. Keep the ribs gently activated towards the hip pointers, not to flatten the lumbar spine, but to stabilize it. Keep that stability. Now this time when your foot comes down, put down 75% of its weight, not 100. Lift the other foot, come down with 75%. Lift the next foot, come down with 50%. Keep your square active. Lift the other leg 50%. Shoulders relaxing broad. If you can't relax the shoulders broad at 50% of weight onto the foot, then go back to 75 or go back to 100. Shoulders broad, neck relaxed. Try 25% of the weight. Really active in your square. And then float one leg to tabletop and the other to join. Open your knees as wide as your shoulders and toe dip. Right foot towards the floor. Bring it up heel to heel. Bring the right knee towards your shoulder. Take the right foot past and come through. So it's a longer arc today. Heel comes past. We don't touch the floor. Knee comes towards the same side shoulder. Nice, Sherry. You don't have to go super low. Remember, you don't have to get close. You don't get more gold stars for getting close to the floor. You get gold stars for keeping your ribs active towards your hip pointers and your lumbar spine in neutral. Okay, let's come back up and try the other leg. And if you were doing both, that's fine. Just keep doing both if you were doing both. So we feel into this arc of movement. We stabilize for the whole arc. Shoulders broad, neck relaxed in its natural cervical curve. And we come back up heel to heel and straighten the legs towards the sky. Small turnout with the feet like there's a tennis ball between your big toes, and zip up your inner thighs. And then open your legs about 3 feet wide and pulse out into your TheraBand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lightly tap your heels and open. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lightly tap and open. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lightly tap and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and tap. Bend your knees again. Open your knees as wide as your shoulders and toe dip one foot. Take the knee all the way towards the shoulder. Come back heel to heel. Toe dip the next foot. Take the knee towards the shoulder. Come back heel to heel. Toe dip the first side again. Knee towards shoulder. Heel to heel. Toe dip the second side. Knee towards shoulder. Heel to heel. Bring your knees together. Hug the midline. Now, really keep this square stable as you take your right leg out to the right, ground the left side of the body. Try to stay still in the square. Come back to center. You don't get a gold star for moving the leg far. You get the gold star for trying to find an evenness to the square. So we open only as far as we can maintain our balance. And we come back in. We stay really aware of how we use the back body. Feel your back myofascial sling turn on as you engage the arm and shoulder to support the moving leg. Connect the engaged shoulder to the opposite side buttock. Feel into how you can ground the pelvis as you ground the opposite shoulder, and how that can help you keep the square between your fingers and thumbs still. It's quite cool. Now also notice the ribs and hip pointers under your fingers and thumbs. You can draw a line. Let's say we're taking the right leg out. Keep the right hip pointer connected to the left low rib. Keep that line strong, and that will help you stabilize the square. As you take the left leg out, connect the left hip pointer to the right low rib and draw the leg back in. Let these crosses help support you as you move. These are essential for healthy posture and movement. And then let's bring the legs in and the TheraBand up around the ankles. Legs as straight as is comfortable towards the sky. Bring the right leg forward and then bring the left leg forward and circle out into your TheraBand. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you don't have the TheraBand, just imagine as you circle the legs. This will actually be a little harder for those of you without the TheraBand. You can stay here with the circles towards the sky or move down with your heels. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and up. 2, 3, and 4. Keep your square. 2, 3, 4, up. 2, 3, and 4, and down. 2, 3, and 4, and up. 2, 3, and 4. One more. 2, 3, and 4, and up. 2, 3, and 4. Check in with your long neck, your broad shoulders. Take the TheraBand off around your feet and flip it away. Open the right leg overhead, left leg long, and flex and point and flex and point. Flex and point. And now just flex your toes back to a floint and begin your bicycles. Fluid breath. Keep an awareness of your square. So we haven't done this much lately, where we keep our hands on the square and notice how the square moves with motion. And we will have some movement. The vertebrae are designed to flow a little with the pelvis. But what we want to be aware of is how much, and can we stabilize for easeful movements. Now, take your bicycling backwards. See if you can slow it down to half the pace. When we go slow, the body and mind can work together to find the most efficient movement. When we go fast, we fall into habitual motion. Let your jaw relax and your hyoid bone rest back. No jutting the chin towards the sky. Shoulders broad. Release your arms down, palms up, and see if you can still maintain awareness of your square. And then come back, left leg overhead, and flex the feet and point. Flex and point. Flex and point. Flex, point, and floint. Spread your toes. Bring the legs back together, bend the knees. Float one foot to the floor and then the other. Lift up off your ball and release it. And bring your pillow back in if you use one, and bring your TheraBand over your left foot. Okay, we're moving towards Susie's request of sidelying. And before we get there, I want you to feel your pendulum. Find your natural lumbar curve. Rest your arms to your side if your TheraBand's long enough, and pendulum the heel towards the floor and back up. Keep your natural lumbar curve to your spine. Pendulum the foot, easy release and lift. Let the femur bone move on its own in the hip socket. And so that means some of you, the motion will be smaller. If you have a little less flexibility in the hip right now, in the hamstrings, that's okay. Try to find the place where the femur bone moves in the hip socket without taking the pelvis for a ride and flattening the lumbar spine. And then come to the top, straighten your right leg, take the left foot across to the right, down towards the right foot, up and around, and start the circle small. And then let it get longer and larger, just to the point of your comfort. If this hurts your low back, keep the long leg with the knee bent and the foot on the floor. And then take your circles the other way. The smaller circles will be easier to stabilize. The larger circles more complicated. Feel into your pelvis. I like the TheraBand over the ball of your big toe and pinky toe because you can really have more control and wake up more of the leg that way. Come back to center. Bend the knee in towards your armpit. Half happy baby. Stretch it out and bring the right foot into the TheraBand. Left foot on the floor. Heel aligned with sit bones. Feel into the four corners of the standing foot and the arches. Reach out through the big toe ball mound and pinky toe ball mound of the extending leg. This will help us straighten the leg. Now really feel for that natural lumbar curve. This should start to feel good, like, I'm lubricating my hip joint. We just pendulum. Let the movement be easy. The TheraBand helps swing the leg back up. Release your hyoid bone in and up. Relax the eyes back into the skull. And come up, straightening the left leg. Take the right leg across to the left, down, around, and up. Stabilize for the circle with the rest of the body. We woke up your myofascial slings. Use them. Feel them. Let this be a consciousness building exercise. What's happening in the shoulders, in the sides of the pelvis? Are you active in the foot of the leg along the floor? Come to the top and take your circles the other way. Where does the stretch occur for you? Can you focus on stability? And come to the top and bend the knee in. And release the foot from the TheraBand and come to lying on your side. Okay, so those of you who don't do side lying, please come to standing and put your foot on the block like we did on Wednesday. Okay. So those of you who want to do side lying, bring your pillow in if you want a pillow, or bring your hand in under the head. When I have the pillow in under my head like this, I like my arms straight out in front. Heels are aligned with your sit bones. Rest the top hand right in front of your core. Press down with each fingertip. Broad across your shoulder girdle. I want you to feel into your back myofascial slings from shoulder to hip, shoulder to hip. This is going to have you activate the side body so you don't slump onto the floor. And lift your feet and open the clamshell and close the clamshell. Now, if anybody really wanted to, we could have put the TheraBand back on here. We'll do that next time. We'll open and close and open and close. Can you stabilize from shoulder to hip pointer? Shoulder to buttock and shoulder to buttock. Think of your square in the front. So actually, we have the feet together. They're just lifted high, and the top knee opens away from the bottom knee. It's a clamshell. There you go. Yeah. Keeping stable across the back and the front square. Now close the knees and open the legs at a 45-degree angle from your spine. Yep. And float the top leg up and float it back down and float it up. Now notice when you float the top leg up is the tendency to roll back to open the leg. Try to keep from rolling back. Keep the back conscious and stay on your side and only lift as high as is comfortable staying there. Then you're going to get more into your hip. One more. And then come down, point your toe. Keep the bottom foot flexed and active and circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Take a soccer ball circle the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Draw the top leg down your mat. Lengthen through the top of your head. Find your back myofascial slings and your front. And kick forward. Flex the foot and draw back. So again, invite the femur bone in this position to move without taking the pelvis and low back with it. You can activate Mula Bandha. You can draw energy from the navel back towards the spine and up along the front of the spine. That breath work we did activating along the spine, you can do it here. Keep your spine stabilizing. And then reach down the mat and circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Circle the other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And kick the foot forward and bend the knee. And take the foot down the mat and kick the foot forward and bend the knee. You're bicycling backwards again. This is a more intermediate Pilates mat practice. Still feel into your lumbar spine as you bicycle backwards. Can you keep pretty still, active in your core so that your spine isn't going for the ride in the sense of being really moved by the leg? It's a stabilizing for the leg's movement. Now, bring the knee forward, unfurl the leg, and draw down with the heel and bicycle forward. Remember, the circles can be smaller. Stay strong from shoulder to shoulder and hip to hip. One more bicycle circle, and bring the foot over the foot. And turn the knee up as you draw a long line along the leg. Lift the foot, flex, and lower. Draw a line on the leg. Lift the foot towards the sky, flex, and lower. One more. Lift, flex, and lower. Now lift the foot. Press down into the grounding hip. Bend the knee and draw the line out the leg. Lift the long straight leg. Bend the knee. Draw along the bottom leg. Lift, bend, and draw. Lift, bend, and draw. And then let's bend the knees and let's tap the top buttock a little bit. You may make a fist and tap your knuckles into the muscles you were just activating, saying thank you. All right, let's try the other side. Okay, so we haven't done those in a while. So you may feel your hips today. Long along the side mat. And I'm hoping the work we did earlier helped inform you in the work we're doing now. So on this side, I put my head on my hand because of my earpiece. Find the head position that's most comfortable for you. Top hand, it's really important. If you're pressing down into each finger, you'll activate that top shoulder and be able to keep the rectangle of your back more easily. Feet come up and we open and close and open and close. Now, those of you who have low back issues, really try to find that activation into the pelvis, the navel in towards the spine and up. And if you feel irritated by this work today, do the sidelying series standing. We open and close. This is an exercise PTs often give people who are working with their hips to strengthen them again. Draw energy in from the navel up along the front spine. A gentle lift to the pelvic floor. Keeping integrity in the spine, we don't slump onto the floor. And then bring the knees together, straighten the legs. Activate your fingers into the mat. Feel your shoulder to shoulder connection and float the leg up. Float it back down. Float it only as high as you don't have to roll backwards. Good. You all look really nicely stable here. Those of you that I can see. It's not about getting your leg up. It's about stabilizing the torso. And one more. And point the toe. Circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. Circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Ground the hand. Draw the leg back with a flexed foot and kick forward. And draw back and kick forward. So it's a straight leg. We're not doing bicycles yet. We're just kicking forward like the pendulum we did when we were lying down. You kick the foot forward. Really try to release the top hip down the mat. Don't hitch it towards your armpit. I'm giving you cueing based on what I'm seeing. Try not to kick so far forward that your pelvis is following you. Some of you, everybody put your hand on your top hip for a moment. Draw that top hip down away from your armpit and kick the foot forward. Flex the foot and draw the heel back. Kick forward, don't go as far. Try to keep that hip really still. There we go. That's better. Kick forward and draw back. Draw the navel into the body. And then we kick forward. Take the heel to the sit bone, release. Oh, wait. Yeah, we'll go back to that. Release the foot. Kick forward. Heel to sit bone, knee down the mat. So you're bicycling backwards. You can put your hand back down in front of you, but try to keep aware of not hitching that hip towards the armpit. If it helps you to keep your hand on the hip, you can do so. Keep drawing in from that front pelvic core to stabilize. Keep drawing in from the navel to stabilize. Yeah, good. And now kick forward and draw back. Heel comes to buttock, unfurl the leg and bicycle forward. Can you keep stretched open from the top armpit to the hip? That's one of the questions, so that we're not hitching that. There you go. Some of you are keeping the longer side body that way. Really grounding into your hand, your upper hand, grounding into the leg on the ground, keeping that foot active. And one more. And then draw the leg down the mat, point your toe, and circle. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Draw foot over foot. Draw a line up the bottom leg. Open the knee. Flex the foot and lower. Draw a line. The knee lifts. Open, flex, and lower. Draw, open, flex, and lower. Now lift the toe, long leg. Bend the knee, draw the line out. Lift, bend, and draw. Lift, bend, and draw. And that was it, right? Bend your knees and knock on that top hips muscles. Notice if one side felt more work, like it was more work than the other. And was it the upper leg or was the stabilizing leg feeling like it was working? Or both? Okay, let's come up onto hands and knees. Okay, I think today I want to bring us into your multifidi strengthening work again. So let's bring a block in under your right shin. Come on to hands and knees. You'll bring the right shin onto the block and the left shin will float next to the right. Okay, so those of you who haven't been here, you might want to look at this because you may not have done it before. So your right shin is on the block, your hands are beneath your shoulders, and then your other shin's floating beside the block. And watch, here's what we're going to do. Lower the left shin towards the floor, does not need to touch, and then lift back up to a tabletop. So you are going to let the vase of flowers roll off the left side as you lower that hip and lift. You can activate your core from beneath, but you're also working on the stabilizers of the spine called the multifidi. So we lower the shin and lift the pelvis to neutral, lower the shin and lift the pelvis to neutral. Keep awake in the underside of the body. Keep the pelvic floor drawing in and up. Long spine. Each finger pad of the hand active to help you lift the center of the palm. Now float up to neutral and hold the hips in good alignment. You can stay here if this is enough work for you, or you can take the right fingertips out to the side and float the right shoulder blade onto the back ribs and float the left shin out to the side in your doggy at the fire hydrant. Feel from shoulder to lifted hip, your myofascial sling, from lifted hip pointer to opposite rib, and come back down and release off the block. And we'll take the other side. So you'll step the left shin onto the block. And I'll come at a different angle for those of you who haven't been doing this with us. Come on to your hands and shin, the other shin floating next. And we lower the right shin towards the floor and lift it back up. It does not need to touch. We're just letting the pelvis kind of nod off to the side so that the muscles of the spine stabilize. They're like, uh-oh, what's she doing? She's dropping that leg, or he's dropping that leg, and then drawing us back up. So we lower and lift. It doesn't need to be a big movement. We're waking up these tiny muscles that connect vertebrae to vertebrae. Lower and lift, lower and lift, lower and lift, and lower and lift. Stay with your breath as you work. And then come back up. Keep your pelvis stable. That might be enough work for some of you right there. If you'd like to go farther, take your left hand out to the side. I'm not mirroring you here. Float your left shoulder blade onto the back. And if you'd like, lift your right shin out to the side. Really finding your myofascial slings here. And then come to neutral, step off the block. And bring your big toes together. Bring your sit bones back. If it's comfortable in your shoulders, reach your arms forward. Take a few deep breaths in child's pose. Relax your pelvis towards your heels. Now remember, you could always bring a bolster in under your hamstrings, between your calves and your thighs. You could bring a blanket roll in. We pause in this hip opener, spine lengthener, shoulder opener. And if you'd like, you can walk your hands to one side and inhale deeply into the opposite side body. Let yourself rest into the stretch on the exhales. Ground yourself after an active practice by touching a lot of your body to earth. Fluid breath. Take your arms to the other side. See if you can relax on the exhales into the stretch. And then coming back to center. Arms wide, activate each finger pad into the mat and roll yourselves up, knees bent. Stretch from your hands back to your sit bones. Broad across your shoulder girdle, lift the head away from the floor. Let the neck lengthen and then release back with a long neck. So you don't go probably as far with your head towards the floor. Take the femur bones back. Fluid breath here. Building upper body strength. You can stay in downward dog or flow forward into a plank. Find that lift under the pelvis, along the front of the spine, even up past the hyoid bone. Can you maintain that lift along the spine and float one heel off the floor? Lower that foot, float the other heel off the floor. Lower that foot, float the other heel off the floor, and if you'd like, rock back and forth gently across the foot. Don't rock forward of a 90-degree with your wrist, so you may need to step the foot back slightly. Rocking at the ankle, opening the toes, bringing the lifted foot down, lift the other. Some of you may not feel comfortable in the rock for wrists or for ankles. That's fine, don't do it. And then come down with your toes and roll back again to your downward dog. Knees bend, long spine. Three-dimensional breath. Each finger pad engaged. Walk the feet towards the hands. Bring the hands towards the feet. Stand for a moment in your your standing happy baby pose. Let your torso rest on your legs. Let your head release. Now, those of you who unhinge will come forward and lengthen the spine, activate your bandhas. Those of you who want to roll up, you'll cat curl by lifting the navel towards the low back and roll yourself up one vertebrae at a time. Coming to standing, shoulders to your sides. Rest the head and hyoid bone back. And let your hands shake gently, releasing tension. Remember this idea of opening the doorways of the joints so the energy can flow through the wrist up to the elbow, through the elbow up to the shoulder joint. The knees may bounce too. Through the shoulders, up the cervical spine to the base of the skull. The head can bob a little side to side, releasing tension so the doorways of the joints can open. Now move down the spine. Doorways in the pelvis open, in the knees, and in the feet. Feel the feet hug the ground even as you bounce. Where you feel the bounce on the feet, and see if you can change the pressure of the bounce by changing your weight distribution over the feet. Can you find more ease in the feet as you change the weight distribution of the bounce? Coming maybe more over the arches for support. And then release the bouncing and pause standing. Fluid breath. Clicking the heels together. Small Pilates V, hug in from the glutes and float the arms up and bend the knees. And float the arms out, lift the heels. Zip it up, lower the arms. Float the arms out, bend the knees. Lower the heels, lift the arms up. Float up towards the sky, lowering the arms. Float the arms up, still lifted high. Float the arms out, bend the knees. Float the heels down, lengthen the arms. Bring the hands to namaste, down the center channel of the body. Open the arms towards the front and wide, spread the fingers. Turn the palms up and the gaze up, reach towards the sky. Lengthen, tailbone towards earth, heels grounding, lift the back base of the skull. Exhale down the center channel and open the arms. Inhale, draw in good energy from earth and sky. Let it come center into the pelvis of your body. Inhale, draw into your own awakening. And let's inhale into a fabulous Friday and weekend for all of you. Okay, thank you.